Good evening, guys. So, I just want to run through a checklist with you tonight. I know that you've had some practice in doing your forms when you're working on people, and I want you to think of what we're going through tonight as a checklist for that 15 log sessions that you're going to send to your instructor, if that was me or if that was Jen or if that was Kate. Whoever instructed you at your practical training, that's who you're going to send your log sessions through to. Sometimes what will happen is we'll send them back to you because they have minor mistakes on them, and so we need you to just rectify them before we can accept them. But the purpose of tonight and this particular video is to just run through what that checklist is so that you've got as many of those things checked off and ticked, and you can go, yep, I'm covered. I've done everything I need to on my forms. All right. So, I would like to start with the raindrop log, which is what we've got on the screen here. Now, it's really important too, guys. Can you make sure that when you send us a photocopy, that it's good quality paper? Because we do keep these locked. They do get scanned eventually onto a digital file, and then they get into a locked and encrypted file there. But we do have hard copy for quite a while afterwards. 7 years we have to actually keep it for, same as you. So, yeah, good quality paper helps. But anyway, that aside, your raindrop log is going to be required for each session. So even if it's their first session, they're still going to fill one of these in. So, you want to make sure, is the date listed? Has it got today's date? If it's today that they've had their session, is the session number listed? Is it session 1? Is it session 2? Have they answered all the questions in the grayed out box here? It means that they need to have ticked one of the boxes for the photosensitivity question. So this is it here. Are you happy for me to apply photosensitive oils? So they will have had to tick yes, that they are happy for you to do it. Or is there any chance that you may have been pregnant? They may change information here from no, I'm not pregnant, to yes, I am. If that's the case, then you want to change straight away to a release and indemnity form, which looks like this, with the information they can read on one side and the release and indemnity form, pregnancy release and indemnity form on the other. Really important, guys, you want them to complete it at every single session, okay, while they're pregnant. Coming back to the raindrop log now. You want to consider, if they said, no, I don't want any photosensitive oils, did you avoid using those on them? Are there any changes here? Have there been any changes in your health since your client history form was completed? Now, if it was the form they just filled in 5 minutes ago, then of course they have to tick no. But if this is their second session, something may have changed. They may have had a sprained ankle, or they may have come back and been told that they've got bronchitis, or you just don't know. So if yes, we want to see the details written down below here, okay, in this nice long line. Now, if you need an extra piece of paper, that's fine, but if you need an extra piece of paper, it means that they've had significant changes, and it's probably worthwhile doing an extra client history form for them, just to see what those changes are now reflecting. All right, now, the other thing is I want to see the recipient signing in the bottom of the grey box here, name and date. All right. And the reason that they need to include their name and their date is this is a continuation here. By signing, this is a continuation of your release and indemnity that they originally signed. So if they come for session 2, session 3, session 4, session 5, rather than them filling in this release and indemnity form every single time they come, you can get them to just sign down the bottom here, and they are acknowledging the continuation of that initial form that they signed. You want to obviously record their body assessments. We want to check to see that this isn't left blank. When I'm marking them, I'm looking to see that you've made note that you're assessing the body. And then I want you to make sure that you've filled this in out here, whether they've had a nil, 1, 2, or 3 modification level. The practitioner notes are things where you record your observations. So it could be, one day a person comes in and their right shoulder's down 0.5 centimetre, and at the end of the treatment, notice that their shoulders were level again. You can record those kinds of notes. On a second or third session, you may have a person appear emotional when they present to you, but may leave feeling relaxed and calmer within themselves. That's the kind of observation that you can note. Sometimes when people are snoring on the table and sleeping, you will see shoulders twitch or hips move, or legs, the toes suddenly jerk in strange and unpeculiar ways as the body realigns in the process. So that's worth noting on your practitioner notes as well. So they're the kinds of things that we're looking for when we're marking and wanting to see what you're recording of your session with your client. Any additional oils that you may have used, and why you would have used them. So, if it was something that you felt intuitively to use, or, we use Palmarosa today because it's a similar frequency to wintergreen, and, wintergreen was contraindicated, or something to that effect. You want to record the increase in height, and we'd like you to measure the millimeters if you can. It's exciting for them too. We'd like to see what the recipient's comments are. Now, we recognise that not everybody's going to have a 5-page story to tell you when they get off the table. Generally, it's, yeah, I feel good, and they may even be a little bit groggy. And this is why then your practitioner notes section will be relevant in that observations, because your recipients generally have more to say the next day. Any reminders then for the next session you would put in here. Useful oils for the recipient, if you felt that they need more valor to help them, keep them on the level, or something to that effect, you might want to put that there. Date of the follow-up call, this is an absolute must, guys. I want to see the date of the follow-up call and what the recipient had to say about it. It's really important that we demonstrate a level of aftercare when we give people Raindrop technique. So I'll be looking for that when I'm marking off your logged sessions. And then you're going to ask them if they're interested in having more sessions. And if so, maybe when. Sometimes people say in a month, or, fortnight, or something to that effect. Okay? So that's our Raindrop log. Now, the other thing I want you to look at here is the release and indemnity form. Okay? It's to be completed once every 12 months. And the Raindrop log to be completed at every session. You can see that it says that here, guys. Okay? So I want to see that. Has the name been filled in properly? Do we have their address? Have they recognised that you're a student practitioner? Have they circled the treatment that they're coming for today? Now, this is an older document you're seeing here, guys, but the new ones actually have all of the brand new courses listed on it, so keep an eye out for that. So their name and address needs to be included at the top, and your name needs to be listed there as well. They're identifying you here, whether you're a student practitioner or a qualified practitioner. And then you want to see that your recipient has signed and dated it at the bottom, and it's okay for you to witness it. But if you have a third-party witness, that's great. You want to look at that as well. Okay. Then we're going to look at the client history form. So that's our release and indemnity. From there, when it comes to looking at these, I want to see that under operations, that there's some sort of date here. Requires you to ask for the year date. If it was in the last 12 months, I'd prefer the month and the date. Like as in, if it was in the last 12 months, I would say, if it was February this year, I would say February 2020. If it was 1985 that I had a knee operation, then knee op 1985 is acceptable, or 85 is acceptable as well. As long as we have some time frame around what's going on as far as operations goes. And then if they do have something listed here in the last 12 months, you want to check over here to see if they've ticked that they've had a general or local anaesthetic, okay? Possibly even been on antibiotics during their operation or whatever it is that they had. I also want to see if they've listed their current pharmaceutical meds on their client history for. And if they have, I want to see that you've noted it over here on the modification table, what it's for. So in the additional comments, you might want to put takes aspirin for blood thinning, takes Zoloft for depression, whatever they know. Sometimes you'll get a person who's got a list so long that they don't know what all of the drugs are for, but it's very rare. Most people know what they're taking all that sort of medication for. All right. Now, what else have we got? Under chemical exposure column, okay, so coming over here, the right-hand side, you want to look and see if they've listed other illnesses and infections in the past 12 months. And you want to ensure, if they have, that that box has been ticked, because this trips people up a lot of the time. See, they'll count the ticks going down here and all the way into, you know, the past 12 months, and then so all of this will get ticked, and then someone might just write here laryngitis or pneumonia or something to that effect. So, but they won't tick the box. It's really easy then to get tripped up on your calculations for your toxicity because they haven't ticked this box. So if there's anything written here, just make sure that they've ticked that box and that you've got that covered. And then when we go to the modification table, what we're looking for then is all of the translation of that information. Have you checked their age? Is their name written at the top of this here, so you know which modification table this is for and which client it is appropriate for? Have you filled in the blood clots question? Have we written down the avoid oils and the oils to use with caution in relation to any contraindications that may have been ticked? You know, if you're working on a child, have you checked the child's age against the client history form? Do we have a parent and guardian signature happening on your release and indemnity form? Do you have the appropriate cards like childcare and blue cards to be working on children? Those are the sorts of things that you need to know as well. And you need to check with your state government if you're unsure. So in Queensland, we call it a blue card. But it basically means that you have had a safety check to work on children. You are still able to work on a child, but a parent must be present in the room, irrespective of whether you have a card or not. A parent must always be present with a minor whenever you're performing a session on a child of any age until they're 18 years of age. So we're looking at also checking if they're 16 years or younger, because you're going to need to modify down here. You know, 5 to 16 years, we can ramp it up, but they're starting out at a level 1. Or 18 months to 5 years. Level 2, we don't ramp up at all until they get to 5. If they're under 18 months, we don't ramp up until they get to 5. But they'd be a level 3 if they're under 18 months. Can you see that here? Okay, so make sure that we're following this information here. It's telling you what to do. Remember, your bold italics tells you what's okay, what's not okay, and how to translate your information from client history to modification table. You also want to make sure that if a person's over 70, sometimes people will put 69, or, you know, they're about to turn 70 that month, but technically they're still 69. It counts, they're still 69. Especially when I'll be that age, it'll count. So, yeah. Making sure that you are noting if someone has high blood pressure. You know, there are contraindications, coming back over to the client history form for a second. Remembering that if someone says they've got high blood pressure, HBP, we have contraindications here in the bold italics. You know, we've got contraindications here around spinal. Have I copied that information across? Someone had a spinal injury, I would be saying on the modification table what the specific condition is. It's high blood pressure, I'm going to omit something. It's a spinal injury, I'm going to omit more things. You know, we want to see this level of detail and information on your forms, guys. I want to see, you know, if they are breastfeeding, did you select a level 2 down here in age other? Because it says for breastfeeding or 15 weeks. Sorry, that highlighting's not quite working the way I was hoping it to tonight. Good thing that this is a test run email. Let me know how it goes from your end. You know, remembering that if they're pregnant, more than 15 weeks, you can ramp up. More than 18 weeks, you want a pillow under their right side. You want to make notes of that in the additional comments over here. Just saying, you know, using right pillow under right buttock and right shoulder to support mother and baby. You know, 22 weeks pregnant, or whatever the story of how far that pregnancy along is at that time. You know, making sure that any of these contraindications that you see on the client history form in the middle, specific conditions, making sure that we're taking this information here and translating it across onto the modification table. If someone's got a skin rash or a lesion, we're going to say essential oils will not be applied directly over the top, but on our modification table, we're going to write here skin rash on the body part that it's on. So if it's on the neck, if it's on the shoulder, if it's on the elbow, wherever it is, skin rash elbow, skin rash neck, whatever it is, essential oils will not be applied directly over the top, would then become the information that gets written on this side here. Okay, so making sure that you have gone through your client history form nice and slowly and really diligently to make sure you've covered all of that. You know, if they've got scoliosis and you decided you're going to work up or down the spine, you can put that here in the additional comments and details. Happy for you to write that there. You know, remembering to check the emotional state of people. Remembering to look at your textbook if you have trouble working out your chemical exposure. Read what it says here. Check the number of boxes ticked in the chemical exposure section. Count up the number of ticks. Is there 3 or more? It's a yes or a no that goes in this box here, guys. Any health regime ticked, it's either yes or no. If it's a yes, then we want you to go to your textbook, look up how to counterbalance to make sure you got the number of drops right for the supplements that people can potentially be on. If they've had a full Raindrop, you need to verify it with the Raindrop practitioner, because sometimes only the Raindrop practitioner is going to know that they've modified and the client doesn't actually know. So just bear that in mind, that you will need to ring and verify before you can say yes, it's in depth enough to counterbalance. And then if it is, you know, remember that it only negates 6 ticks. Anything more than that, we would just treat the same. Despite the fact that they are doing good things, we'll commend them on that. But for the purposes of modification, it would not be enough to negate all of their ticks, only 6. Okay. So I'm looking to see all of these boxes here filled in properly, making sure that you've done the skin test. Remembering your plaque test. If it's not satisfactory, you're going to finish all moves at the upper back. Do not carry your moves up the neck, and you omit the finger pull, lymphatic foot pump, auricular ear Vitaflex, and neck stretch. Yes. All right. What else have I got for you? Making sure that we choose, after we finally work out what all the numbers are here in this middle section, that the conclusion reflects the most conservative number. If you realise that you should have been a level 1 and you marked a 0, we won't be able to accept that. You'll have to give us another log session because you violated a person's safety. So we can only accept ones that are filled in and done correctly. And that's why sometimes if it's just a little mistake here and there, we can just give you a phone call and say, hey, can you fix a few of these things up here for us? And then just, you know, photocopy or scan and upload the fixed area. But every once in a while, you know, the odd student will accidentally override through just not going through it slowly and properly. They'll override their own safety modification and they'll choose a less conservative modification, and in that situation, if they have compromised the potential safety of the client, then we cannot accept it in that instance. So don't be bummed if that happens to you, because it has happened to the best of us. It's when it continually happens to you that we need to sit down and go, okay, let's look at safety again, so that we can make sure that you get your heads around it and make sure you do it successfully every time for your clients, so they have the best session possible with you. All right, so that's all I've got for you. The bottom section of the modification table we just covered. So I just had some little notes here that I had to go through in relation to that checklist. I hope that makes sense. If you've got any more questions, please send us an email or a text message, and we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Take your time with your forms, guys. Take your time with your forms. It's really not that hard. There's lots of information there for you. If you're really struggling, you can always read your text